dark. It's not the end of the day, but it's the end of the workday. It's 7:30 on Thursday. This week has flown by. More E60 work on both of these, the Canadian and Sepang. Canadian car's got fresh front rotors. Someone pad slapped it not long ago, but those rotors were toast. So it's got new Zimmerman brand rotors in there with the coating on them. That'll wear right off when we're ready. Otherwise, we're waiting on the hardware for the transmission cooler line block off, or the delete panels, whatever we're going to call that. We went through the work scope today. There's not really anything else we can do until we get more parts. He did approve the lights. Everything's on order. They're on their way. New headlights, used taillights, used light module. Does anyone know if the E60 LMA, the light module, requires VIN coding, requires mileage coding? I know it requires a vehicle order, which will have the build date and things like that, but does the VIN have to be written separately? And does it get an odometer reading? I don't know. Obviously the cluster does, the DME does, maybe the CAS instead of the light module does on this car, or there's a gateway module somewhere, maybe it's stored in there, I don't know. It's going to be a learning experience for us, for sure, coding a used module from a different 08 plus E60 to this one. So we will figure it out. The emergency escape thing for the trunk was broken, and we had the battery disconnected. Somehow the trunk lid got closed, probably just did it inadvertently. So we thought, no big deal. Pulled up the back seat, and there was it's a stainless steel braided cord with an eyelet in the end, a plastic eyelet, so you can grab it and pull it. And we grabbed it, pulled it, no resistance, it pulled all the way out. So thankfully this car has split folds. What we were able to do is open up the cubby, the armrest thing here, and then the pass-through, and then as much as you can crawl in there. How does that even, well, the whole thing opens. And you kind of crawl in there and you can find the little escape, or the little lever. You can't reach the emergency escape thing. It's too far back, and there's no way you're going to fit through that hole. But you can reach in there and pull the seat opening thing. And then once you get half the seat open, then you can crawl in and use the glow-in-the-dark emergency escape handle. Well, we found out that the cable, you use a coat hanger to push it under the seat. Then it comes up and it goes through this is just steel tubular or aluminum or whatever it is. It goes through this, and then there's a little junction with a, at the end of the cable, there's a barb or whatever, and you put that in a little plastic junction, and it comes up and goes to the actual latch. So we reconnected that. Nothing was broken. It was just, I don't know how it got disconnected, but the wiring in here is all electrical taped. And when you take off this cover panel, it's kind of screwed up back there. So obviously someone's been in here before and has made some repairs. Everything works, but there's supposed to be some foam and then ties that keep the barbs of the stainless steel cables from falling out of the junction. And that was the problem. It just fell out. So we fixed that. Things like that are free of charge. We got the clutch cut out of the Sepang piece. We're not putting that in because the light module's got to come out when those parts arrive. But this thing, we're really not very far away, and it's work scope creep, as my dad called it, that makes these things take forever. People come in for jobs A through C, and then we end up going to double Z. Not a complaint, but we need to get better at collecting payments and helping out our cash flow. Taking my car home here in a few minutes on Sepang today. Let's see. I think they put together the pedal box sealing and all of those trims, yes, which means it's now ready for this piece, which was broken before, so we're going to be replacing that. Center console still has to go in. I just need to get it off the lift so I can actually get the doors open. But it looks like this is back together. Maybe the battery's not connected. It must not be. Hood release handle, and the ceiling and the trim, so starting to look more put together there. And I expected the battery to work, so let's see why it's not. That would be why. It is disconnected, and that's fine, as long as we leave the trunk open. On the 530s, they got the pads on the back of the black one. I don't know if I said that yesterday. That happened yesterday. And a new wear sensor, so we shouldn't have the check brake linings warning anymore. That came on in Laguna Beach on our way back from Santa Clarita when we picked this car up. Today we quoted a complete cooling system refresh, inclusive of radiator, expansion tank, all the hoses, fan and fan clutch, temp sensor, geez, just all the pieces. One of the only 2 Euro parts I'll buy, URO brand parts, are the little brass bleeder screws. There's one on the expansion tank and another one on one of the upper radiator hoses. So I put all that together, waiting on approval. He says we'll check it tomorrow morning. I'm thinking that he will approve. Sounded like that on the phone today. So we'll get a cooling system rebuild on this. We've already done all of the fluids except for coolant. That's still empty right now, but it's got diff, trans, oil, power steering, brake fluid flush. Did a brake fluid flush on the Silverstone Canadian car. We're gonna do it on the Sepang car too. It just ends up in, you know, being general maintenance. While the car's here, it's down for service. It makes sense to do that stuff. So I'm gonna move cars around, head home. Kenan came up today. We put new O2 sensors in the M3. The M3 is failing smog again. He's trying to get that to pass before it's listed for sale on Cars and Bids. New Bosch O2s after 3,000 miles. The old ones look like shit. He got home, check engine lights back on for O2 related codes, which means his 3,000 mile cats are cooked already. MagnaFlow brand cats. So that sucks. He's gonna have to replace the cats again. Then I almost forgot, we got Rich's 2003 Sterling car back in here for a little bit today. He complained about trims loose and rattling under the car. Well, front left fender liner and fuel filter cover were destroyed. He was in for in on Tuesday for that. Ordered the parts, they showed up. He came in today, we put them on. No drama. He's got fresh parts on the front, no more sag. And then while I'm going and just talking a million miles an hour here, he didn't want the Sepang console anymore. The leather was in really bad shape. So there's that one, not going to be used. I transferred over the parts it didn't come with, such as the center console trim. We've got the EDC panel in there. The one thing that was weird, so the console he bought, of course, was not an 08 Plus. It's like an 06, 07 piece. And when you open this up and you open this up, the 06 and 07s have, what's in the front, have a little slider door here that can make this a cool box or a hot box, which was the dumbest thing in the world. It connects to the HVAC vent that goes to the rear seats. So you kind of have to reach in the back and tell it if you want hot or cold air with the little red blue slider. But the 08s, like his car had, have this aux and USB port in here. So we had to take the entire console apart. You take off this leather piece, you take off the arm, you take this thing off, this slides forwards. There's a little torque screw underneath that cap. That was fun to find. And then finally, you can pry out the old piece and pop this in. So it'll be a direct plug and play now for him to retain that functionality when we put this in. And I think the center console, like touch points where your elbow's gonna rest, all of that stuff should be black. Having it in tan, while it matches the rest of the car, kind of, black does too. So in my opinion, I always want a black dash, black carpets, black console. If you're gonna do colors, make them inserts like this, like do that in gray. This should be black, this should be black, that should be black. Gray on the seats is fine. I want a black console. My car's so dirty right now. Everything's shiny. Look, there's shit on the floor mats. There's crap all over the windshield. It's been 2 weeks. Tomorrow is cleanup day, and I very much look forward to it. 10:40 and bedtime. I've been looking at numbers all day. It's honestly been a really frustrating day. We've got another manual conversion, this time on a really unique special M5 that's going to be coming in from Mississippi, of all places, in the next few weeks. I'll certainly keep you updated there. But as I put all of that in a work order, send it out to the customer, he immediately approves. So I start ordering parts, and I've got 3 or 4 suppliers for, 100 plus parts totaling $6,500. I start making those orders. I get everything in the cart through the BMW dealership. For some reason, it logs me out of my account in the time it takes me to get all the items in the account, so in the cart. So I try to log back in. Logging in doesn't work. Try a different browser. Oh, well, now it doesn't remember what's in the cart because that's browser cache, and I don't want to go through this 2-hour process of adding stuff to the cart again. The website gets slow. I can't log in. It gives me a 504 bad gateway or gateway timeout error. So frustrating. I'm trying to give you $2,400 to this vendor, and they won't take it because their systems don't work. It's owned by Penske Automotive. They're huge. This is a multi-million dollar company at least. So go in, talk to the guys, and they send me a link. And they're like, well, try this link. It took the guy 20 minutes typing in his computer to generate this link. I click the link, it takes me to the same page that hasn't worked. So eventually we found a way to use Safari and move cookies, and it was a pain in the ass, but it worked. The parts are on order. 3 of them are in Germany, 3 or 4 weeks out, but the car's still in Mississippi, so we're in good shape. Just a day of like, I know the last 3 digits of these part numbers for the little curly Q hose that comes out of the slave cylinder, and at the end of the day, it's like, I need to sit down and have a drink or something. It is freaking ridiculous. We got 2 in progress, 2 on deck, and 2 more people talking about. And I am gonna have to start fabricating parts because these things don't exist in quantity anymore. They only made a few thousand cars, especially the M6s. We got an M6 coming up. I have never driven an E63, E64 M6. I've never done anything. I've seen them. I've never seen a manual, I don't think. So that's gonna be a new experience if this works out. Which it is, parts are in order. So yeah, I mean, my whole day today was just literally numbers and part numbers and update the price here and update the price there and then call this guy and talk about these numbers. And it's a shame I'm bad at math, because if I were good at math, I could probably do something really lucrative. But I'm not good at math, and I'm not going to get good at math because I don't want to. And you're never going to be good at something that you don't want to be good at or you don't have interest in succeeding with, and that's just fact. I had Shake Shack for dinner. I took a shower. It is cold outside. It's 62 degrees, and to my blood, that is cold. Tomorrow's Friday, and I'll talk to you then. We're going to get this thing cleaned up because, hold on, I'm not making it up. Down here. That's dirty. I don't like that kind.